There's a lot in the ethics that's a Goldilocks argument. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And how do you make a rule to tell which is which? What is character?
It's like the state of the soul that arises from the choices one makes.
State of the soul that arises from the choices that you make. Okay. So we're going to try to figure out how that works. And to do that, we're going to begin with the beginning of Book 2 of the Ethics. And if somebody reads the first paragraph, there's some cool stuff in there.
Now, since virtue is of two sorts, one pertaining to thinking and the other to character, excellence of thinking is, for the most part, both in its coming to be and in its growth, a result of teaching, for which reason it has need of experience and time, while excellence of character comes into being as a consequence of habit, on account of which it even gets its name by a small inflection from habit.
How do you make a good choice? No simple answer, right? But one thing is the motive. You have to do it to do the right thing, especially the beautiful thing. You also have to estimate the circumstances. Well, an act is courageous if it's done for the beautiful, unless it's grossly foolish. You can imagine some movie where some soldier stands up and charges a whole army of tanks and gets blown away. And that's brave in one way, but in another way, it's ridiculous. So you don't want to do that, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that make for a good choice, but the point he's making here is that you go from habit to character by making choices and making them well. And that's what changes you. And if we don't make good choices, it will violate our nature, but it's not natural in the same sense as our growing, or as an oak tree growing, is natural. The realm of volition in which human beings live is all important. You can take 1,000 examples, they're everywhere. But if you commit vicious acts often, abuse people, which will turn you into a tyrant, and you'll be hated and unhappy, drink to excess, turn you into a drunk, be unhappy. You can do those things. Then you're harming your nature. Whereas if you make good choices, you accord more completely with your nature. But don't mistake that you are not an agent in the doing of it. There's a lot in the ethics that's a Goldilocks argument. Not too hot, not too cold, just right, not too hard, not too soft. And that's an interesting problem, right? Because how do you make a rule to tell which is which? How do you know? And the answer is, there isn't any rule that you can make. Like in this case of training, it's not too hard to know that if you run until you're exhausted and your shins hurt and you can't run anymore, then you've run too much. And if you don't run enough and you're exhausted when you start and you can't keep up, you haven't trained enough. Take moderation. There isn't any iron rule. You're seeking a right amount. Indeed, it's the business of life to seek the right amount. And there's all these obstacles and temptations and confusions that are in the way. But if you think about it and you keep your soul in order and you keep your direction, your attitude right, then you'll make better choices. And Aristotle is saying that's how you home in on this. And another point to understand is it gets easier while you go. Is school easier than when you started? Yeah. You probably showed up, wow, it's so awful. Can't do this. Now you know you can't. It's just hard. So you see what you've gained. You have a better soul than you had before. So that point then is, don't underestimate what you know. And the whole question of choice is going to hang on this thing, that in your heart of hearts, you know. And if you choose against that consistently, that is the only way to silence that voice. And if you listen to that voice, it will become strong and it will drown out everything else. That is the specific action of character building. That's what it does. I'm Larry Arnn, president of Hillsdale College. You will find if you look at our online courses that they cover the whole range of human learning, all the high and fundamental things everyone needs to know. They are free because we have always wished to provide sound learning to anyone who wishes to have it.